It's me, Kelly. You know the drill. Kelly with Kelly Tennant and Associates, and I'm here to talk to you this month about human-centered leadership. Human-centered leadership has really been a hot topic, I think, over the last couple of years, just with the environment that we've been living in and working in. Around the crowds that I've been speaking to, we've been talking a lot about leading more from the human element, the human side. And so human-centered leadership leads me to the question of, well, first of all, what is leadership? How would you define it? And everyone defines it a little bit differently. And some of the things that, or the ways I should say, that I define leadership is to lead, to influence, to guide individuals and organizations, teams towards a common goal, a common mission. And it requires the ability to influence. And influence isn't necessarily a bad word, but it requires the ability to get buy-in from individuals, to really get buy-in to move towards that common mission. And I think in order to do that, really at the crux of what leadership is trust. Interestingly enough, I just listened to a podcast where the CEO of, I believe it was Airbnb, was talking about trust extensively and how he built trust with his teams during COVID, and they had to do some layoffs and some things they did within their organization that were really at the crux of human-centered leadership, remembering that people were behind the job, so to speak. And I think that leadership, in addition to trust, requires a lot of empathy, the ability to care about others. At the end of the day, we're all people. Leaders are human, teams are human, and you have to have the ability to care about people in order to build trust and in order to build effective teams, or at least that's my opinion. And if you look at different sources, trust is really one of the most important traits that people define as something that they want to see in their leader. And you'll see in the blog that accompanies this video, some statistics from an article in US News that talks about trust being at the crux and one of the biggest things that people look for when they look for the ability, or the ability is to someone to lead. And as I mentioned, I think perceptions on leadership have really changed because our work environment has changed. You've seen and heard me talk about this in numerous spaces, that work that we do today is not the same work that we did 100 years ago. It's not the same work that we did 5 years ago. And leadership, I think, is really shifting from this top-down cascading water fountain effect, of the typical organizational chart that we see, to more of a holistic approach. So it's not that approach that our parents or even our grandparents saw in the workplace, but it's a holistic approach where really people are working more collaboratively. And I almost see that in the form of a circle, like it's a collaboration, it's an iterative process, which I think a lot of people would relate to more of a servant style of leadership. We're more knowledge workers today. Not to say that people working 50, 80 years ago didn't have knowledge, but we're not producing products as much, at least here locally. By locally, I mean within our United States bubble. We're using knowledge in different ways. We're doing a lot more service-based work. We're doing a lot more work that requires critical thinking, problem solving. And with AI entering the workspace, that requires different skills from leaders, and it requires different skill sets from the team members that are part of that group as well. So what we're going to do this month is we're going to dive into really what I feel the heart of human leadership is, again, my opinions, and how to leverage human-centered approaches to help empower teams. So I'd love to hear your thoughts. Share them with me in the chat or in the comments. And if you like this content, share it with somebody. As I always say, share the love. Share it with somebody you know. And don't forget to follow us on social media. You can find me on the web at kellytennant.com. You can look for the same name on various social media sites. So we'll talk soon.